Previously on Talk That Talk. I tell you all the time. My situation in undergrad was different than his. He was a part of a Divine Nine organization. I was a part of KKPsi. He always tends to say that we spent a lot of time in the music building, whereas he spent a lot of time in the big calf and on the plots and the student union. So we didn't get out as much, right? So the first question that I'm going to put out here, and we can really get into this. What is the perception of KKPsi and Tau Beta Sigma outside of the Fine Arts building? What is the perception of KKPsi and Tau Beta Sigma outside of the Fine Arts building? Go ahead, Rick. You got it first, brother.
Well, I think it depends on what school you go to, right? Because at PV, I'm sorry, y'all. I don't care what nobody say. Ain't nobody touching KKPsi and TBS at PV. They're the biggest, amongst the biggest chapters on campus. They win the step show every single year. Like, if I was in another fraternity and sorority at PV, I wouldn't even step in the step show. All right, I guess we stepping for this 500 because that 1,500 is gone already. You don't even worry about that. TBS and KKPsi, right, was squeezing that. That was money that they just put in the budget portion at the beginning of the year. All right, we got that step show check coming.
They literally they changed the rules. They used to be like, everybody versus everybody, but then it was like CSO versus Greek. Because when I was there, they had won it from 2002, and then I left in 2011, and they still won it every year. And I'm pretty sure when Maya was there, they still won it after that. So they may still be on the streak, like a 20-year winning streak.
Yep. Like, don't get me wrong, shout out to Rho Theta. I bang with Rho Theta hard, help bring Rho Theta back. Like, Rho Theta, they hold a special place for me. A lot of our students from the band were in Rho Theta. Rho Theta is the Omega chapter at PV. A lot of students were in the Alpha, Beta Gamma or Delta Gamma, yeah. Then you had the Cap. We had students in every organization, y'all, like literally the whole campus. But won't nobody touching TBS and KKPsi at PV. At Norfolk, when Julian got in the chapter, the perception of KKPsi, in my opinion, on campus changed, especially from a stepping perspective, because they were winning the step shows, and it got to a point where they started robbing KKPsi of the step show. Because there was like this perception.
They still doing it. They still.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't even know that.
I was gonna bring it up, but okay, but we can dive in.
Yeah.
Since he brought it up, I will kind of go into that. So I crossed and follow for KKPsi. Matter of fact, my 20 years coming up. I got 2 years. But I became stepmaster the year after I crossed. So the first year we had our step show, that was kind of the introduction. But the following year was the year that we did the Halloween show. And
that Saw show, man, that joint was sweet. I ain't gonna hate.
So I put a lot into that. Matter of fact, we got invited to a lot of different places that year. Like, we got invited to New York to go step. We got invited to ODU to do a step show. So we were doing a lot of step shows that year. But for that particular step show on the campus of Norfolk State University, I will never forget this. At the end of the show, they were announcing the winners of the show. And so they said in third place, and everybody was like, and then they said KKPsi. The whole room started booing. Yeah. Everybody in the room. I'm talking about people in the audience, the other organizations. They were booing the whole room.
I went to you. I remember I went to you directly. I was like, dog, y'all got robbed.
You told me. I remember.
Y'all got robbed. And we stepped in that step show portion. I was like, hey, dog, y'all got robbed. I'm sorry.
But
y'all got completely snitty.
But here was the thing. This is the thing that really made me upset. I ain't gonna curse right now. But because I'm still heated by this. But we had to go and pick up the scores from the office. when I picked up the scores from the office, there were scratch outs, there were eraser marks from the scores that they had originally given us, so that they can put, I think, because the Kappas won
the Kappas won that year, yeah.
And so they could they could put the Kappas higher than us.
But the only reason the Kappas won that year,
man,
I told you this that night. The only reason, Portia, that the Kappas won that year, because that is the first step show in Norfolk State history where not one of them Kappas dropped the cane. That was the first time. And Portia, I've been Greek since 02. That happened in what, 05, 06? I had been to every step show. I had seen the videos before that because a couple of the steps we did were from older shows. First show I ever seen where not one Kappa dropped the, and they were clean. Don't get me wrong, they were clean, but they were not better than KKPsi. But because they were Greek and because they didn't drop them cane daddies, they won the step show. And the albums were always good.
Let me explain something to y'all. In the last step show they had, and I hate to do this to one of your orgs, Julian, but KKPsi did a Space Jam theme. It was dope. They was stepping. They was clean. It was tight. They gave it to the Alphas who did a Maury theme with the young lady up there trying to figure out which one of them was her baby daddy.
Hey, that don't surprise me at all. Norfolk, they've been doing that in Norfolk for years.
And we were like, "Are y'all serious? Like this is not even a competition." First of all, the theme was inappropriate. I don't even know why that was a thing. But KKPsi was better, and we all knew they were better, and so they still doing that foolishness, and it makes no sense.